Rehabilitation, reuse and the living environments. Good luck.
Good morning, everybody. We are Group 1 and we will present about our research. Our topic is the interaction between rehabilitation and reuse and the living environment. We chose this topic because it's very important with the sustainability aspect nowadays. We also want to focus on the built environment. It is important to look at the durability. Rehabilitation can be divided in an active and a passive form. Conservation is the active part and reuse the passive. In our research, we will focus on reuse. Conservation will not be discussed. Our research is about the interaction with the living environment. The living environment consists of the environment, social and economic aspect. In the social aspect, cultural is also involved. It is important to look at the environment, living environment, because rehabilitation takes place here. In our literature review, we found 50 articles. And in those 50 articles, we found 5 different methods: literature review, comparative analysis, case study, interview, and survey. In the next section, we will elaborate those different methodologies and the results of this.
Literature review provides the reader with the latest literature on the topic. A literature review always has a specific approach. First, the topic is selected, then the literature is searched, and as a final result, the literature is analyzed, synthesized, and being compared in a review. In literature review, a broad and general view is presented about the living environment. However, the focus still lies on energy use, sustainability, and reduction of carbon emissions. It is made clear there is an interaction between the living environment and reuse and rehabilitation. However, the aspects are not elaborated any further. A comparative analysis is a method that does an item-by-item comparison between two alternatives. There are 2 variations. The first one is that A and B weigh equally important, and the second one is that A or B weighs more important than the other one, and in that case, A works as a framework to view B. One of the aspects that interacts with reuse and rehabilitation is the social aspect. This can be seen in local initiatives on a small scale, developed to redefine the urban identity, but also in communication based on trust between the resident and the person in charge. Next to that, cultural heritage is also very important. Industrial heritage creates the identity of the city, which residents find very important, but also the environmental aspects comes forward in using geographical themes of scale and place.
Further on, we also used the method case study. The articles described city profile or list of improvements. There was a dividement between 3 different categories, namely ex-conflict areas, rapid modernization, and Western world. And each article described different influences and their purposes. Multiple tools were used to conduct a case study, and no case study was the same. So you could have used the consultation forms and the available data together, but you could also use some other kinds. So no case study was the same, and the complementation of each other was important. The outcomes were different because we used different tools. They gave a clear overview of the interaction between rehabilitation and the living environment. And not only the social aspect was mentioned, but also the cultural, political, environmental, and historical. And together they made the review complete and the rehabilitation. The last qualitative research method is interview. Interviews have been used to receive a better understanding of the context. 2 types of interviews were used, namely in-depth interviews and semi-structured interviews. And the information you get depends on what you want to get. The interviews include a broad scope of stakeholders, and this broad scope was not only the social aspect was mentioned, but also the cultural, economical, political, and environmental. A good communication between the groups was really important and recommended.
In
the research papers, it seems that surveys are mostly used to examine the opinion of a neighborhood in which a rehabilitation project will be applied. The researcher has several phases in which he can take that surveys. It just depends on what he wants to accomplish. The first phase is before the rehabilitation project or process will start, and the second a few moments after it has been applied. The third stage has actually 2 moments, before as well as after the rehabilitation process. The surveys expose the social interaction between rehabilitation and the living environment. When the inhabitant takes the survey before the rehabilitation, the living environment will influence the rehabilitation and vice versa.
Comparing the previously mentioned methods, it can be distinguished that survey, interview and case study have many aspects in common, and so have literature review and comparative analysis. The first group is used to evaluate a specific project, the second group compares multiple aspects. In this figure you can see it shows the relationship between the most mentioned keywords in all our articles, and the arrows shows the interaction of the relationship, the colors, the methodology in which the relationship is found. In the end, after all our research, we can conclude that social aspect is the most important aspect in the living environment, and it has influence on the reuse and rehabilitation. But you should keep in mind the methodology which is used, because it influences your results.
Other questions? We would like the audience to ask one question or give a remark, and then the team of professors will also give a question or raise a question. So, anybody? You can also give a compliment or... No? Nothing? Yes?
Yeah, it was very structured presentation, I think, and layout was very clear, the structure. So, yeah, I think it was quite a good presentation. Yeah.
Thank you. I agree. Of course, Anna. Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering if you found contradictions between the different methods, if they say different, they take different conclusions.
I think one of the main things that was different is that some methodologies only say like the social aspect, for example, has influence on reuse, but there were also methodologies that also said it's vice versa. For example, the surveys really said it's both sides, but in comparative analysis it was mostly only one way, like social aspect has influence on reuse, but not the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
For example, surveys only investigate the social aspect, but in that way it's important to understand what the influence is of a methodology as your results, because only the social aspect is evaluated there, and for example in interviews the aspects are examined, and it's also in case studies, and yeah, it's very important.
Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Well
you,
done.
ladies. Yeah.